In the second tutorial, we talked about the different Revit origin points. And in the previous tutorial, we talked about the internal origin, this one here. And in this tutorial, I will talk about the next one, which is a project base point and how we can use a project base point. We already used the internal origin for linking purposes. We can also use the internal origin for relating our coordinating system to it. To use the internal origin as 0 and 0, and then you start read your spot coordinate from this point. And this is also a use case for your project base point. Most of the cases we are using the project base point as references, and I told you as best practice, you will have your project base point on the top of your internal origin. This is your best practice, and it doesn't matter if your spot coordinate related to the project base point or the internal origin, it will give the same reading. Let's now go to annotate to show you how this looks like, and let's click on spot coordinates. And before I click at anywhere, I can see here, okay, it gives a very weird coordinates. Let's just leave it here like that. And let's go to the spot coordinate family and let's click edit type. Let's see the coordinates base here. As you can see, it reads from the survey point, which means it gives a global coordinates only if the survey point is right. Right now, my survey point is not in the right place. As I told you, I will leave it to the last and I will show you how I will create or how I will get the right coordinates of the survey points from the site file. This is for late. Right now, I have an option to use the internal origin or the project base point as a base, as origin point for my coordinate system right now. So I will click on the project base point and I will click OK. So as you can see here, it gives the right coordinates relating to this point. If I change this to internal origin, I expect to give the same coordinates. As you can see here, nothing has changed. So why? Because both of them on top of each other, and as I told you, this is a best practice. Also best practice to have those 2 points on intersect between 2 axes here. So as I told you, there's another option that you make the internal origin to be a known physical point in your project. So right now, we knew that we can use the project base point to as an origin point for your coordinating system, but only for this project or for this building. So for example, if this is my layout, so many buildings, and each building is a separate Revit project or a separate Revit file. And also in each one, there is multiple discipline. We have a structural, architectural, mechanical, and so on. So each building has separate Revit files, not only one file. So for example, this is my building here. It has an origin point here. And this building can have a project base point here. And this project can have a project base point also here. It's different from project to project. The most important thing is if you have multi-discipline models or you have many discipline are working in the same building or same project, but each one of them has a separate Revit file, all of them should have a shared project base point. This cannot be different from discipline to discipline. It should be the same for the same building. This is the most important thing right now. So as I told you, for this building it could be something else, and this building could be something else. At the end, it's project related. If we did a review on what I said before in the second tutorial, so as you can see here, when we talked about the project base point, as we talked about internal origin, we said it's a project related, as you can see here. And it's the origin point of our project, and usually it's the intersect of 2 axes, must be common point between different discipline. and it has no use in our site file. It has no relation to the global coordinate system. When we talk about UTM coordinate system or red belt coordinate system or whatever, we are not, this point is not included on what we are saying. This is just a reference point for us inside Revit and inside this project in Revit. So how else can we use this point for? You can use this point also for linking purposes. If you want to link your Revit model, like let's say that we have a structural model of this building, and I want to link this model on the top of this model. I can do it either by internal origin, as I showed you before. It's not only for link CAD, and I can also do it by the project base point. But I cannot link CAD using project base point. So if I went to here insert and if I want to link CAD, and if I went down and looked here to my option, as you can see here, I can link center to center, origin to origin by shared coordinates. Are the option I have. And last time we used origin to internal origin to have an accurate linking. But in the case of a 3D model, if you are linking Revit or IFC, so you will have another option, which is auto project base point to project base point. So if all of the discipline are sharing the same project base point, you can, it's the same one here, but this is manual and this is automatic. So if all of you are sharing this same project base point, which should be the case, by the way, you can also link your Revit project inside your or the other Revit discipline inside your Revit project here using the project base point by this option. This is also the second use case of your project base point. Also, the project base point define the orientation to the true north. If I clicked on the project base point, can you see here the angle to the true north? It's 0. This is a default. If you're creating a new project, this is the default. But actually, it says that this is also the direction of the true north, which is not true. If I look to my layout here, and this is my building, as you can see here, this is the true north, and this is my building. So the building is not oriented in the same direction of the true north. There is a bit of angle. So actually, this angle should be defined in the right way. You can define the angle here. If you know the angle, you can just define it here. But I don't prefer this approach. Why? Because this angle, it doesn't has to be created manually. We will show you a way to create this angle or to have the right orientation to the north automatically. And this will be in the last tutorial when we talk about the survey point. But you should know the angle to the true north, it's decided here on the top of the project base point. So let's say now I change this to 30 degrees. So as you can see, nothing happened, nothing has changed. But if I went to the 3D and let's look to my model, and now this is the top. So do you see that? Do you see that the north direction has a bit tilted? So as you can see here, yeah. So this is the right direction of the north, which means is my building right now is tilted to by 30 degrees to the north direction. So this we decide using the angle to the true north. So I will set it back to 0 and I will show you how we can have the right angle in accurate way using the survey point. I would also like to give another hint about the project base point. When you're setting your project base point, you set it, as we said before, either it's intersect between two axes or a physical known point and common between multidiscipline. It's better to avoid negative values. As you can see here, you can put your survey point here so you can avoid so anytime you move to this direction, you'll get positive value. Anytime you move this direction, you get positive value. So it's better to put your your project base point always in the left corner of your project. The maximum left corner of your project, put your project base point. As you can see here, for example, I got a negative value of the X, for example. If I tried this again, let's create similar. And as you can see here, for example, if I went to this direction, I have more negative values here. If I move down, I have both negative values and so on. It's better to avoid negative values as we talked in the first tutorial. And this is actually the main point about the false northing and false easting is to avoid negative values. So if you could set your project base point in the far left corner of your project, it's also a best practice and good hint for you in the future. In the next video, I will show you now about the survey point. As you can see here, this is my survey point, but actually this is not the right coordinates of the survey point. In the next video, I will talk about the survey point and the relationship between the survey point and the site file and how I will get the angle to the true north in the right direction using the site file setting. All of this and more I will cover in the next tutorial. So stay tuned.